this crypto cycle is definitely different, but what do I think as far as whether we will get an on-risk rally is concerned? Because if you look at the traditional cycle, the 4-year cycle, Bitcoin's topped out. We're going into a bear market. We're going to have 3 years of altcoins getting absolutely decimated. Do I think that that is a possibility? It's definitely a possibility. Do I think it's a probability? I don't, because the flow of liquidity is different this cycle. And what I mean by that is in 2021, we had stimulus checks. In 2021, we had furlough. In 2021, we had access to loans at pretty much 0% interest rates. That's the thing that driven the economy. That's the thing that pumped on risk. And this cycle is different. We've had indecision through 2025 because of tariffs, interest rates, because the Fed and Trump have been clashing and not being able to get their monetary policy in order. The Fed were trying to control inflation. Trump was creating tariffs. That was having a negative effect because people were uncertain on how that was going to impact the markets. So that's why it's different. The money hasn't flowed straight through the consumer. But with a business cycle, you get euphoria. We haven't had any kind of euphoria yet. We haven't had any kind of narrative drives as yet, as far as altcoins are concerned. We haven't had any on-risk cycle. So is the market over? Have we had a capitulation event that's completely wiped us out, that's created the start of a bear market? Because everybody's saying Bitcoin's lost its 50 weekly EMA. And it hasn't just lost its 50 EMA, it has been absolutely decimated. So this Bitcoin dump, how much has Bitcoin dumped? Because anyone that's been in crypto for a while recognize that this is a volatile space and we do get big dumps in the market. We get capitulations, we get crashes, and they can be volatile. They can hurt people. So 29.36% to the downside. What about from its 50 EMA? Because that's the important thing in the short term. That's the thing that everyone's concerned about. That's the thing that people are saying is confirming a bear market. 11.12% from its 50 EMA. Now, what is it that I'm looking for? I'm looking for a break of structure to the downside before I have a confirmed bear market. What does that mean? And this is going to hurt you guys because we look at Fibonacci's, and one thing that's happened within this cycle is Bitcoin has respected its 50% mark each time that it's had a swing. This is the deepest swing. This is 61.8. And this is the area that I'm actually looking at in the short term. And this is the important area for me that we need to reclaim by the end of the week. That's sat at 94,113. So that's a 61.8% retracement. Now, the deeper we go, the harder it gets to recover, because the deeper we go, the more resistance levels there is. And if you get to a 78.6% retracement, traditionally, that is showing weakness in the market. So this is the reason why this 61.8 is the reason I am looking at Bitcoin to hold this level by the end of the week. And that's going to give confidence that we could start breaking through the ceilings and show confidence within the crypto market, because something feels different this time. It feels like it's not over. We haven't had any FTXs. We haven't had any Lunas. We haven't had any capitulation events like Celsius. We haven't had anything that has been narrative driven, news driven, fundamental driven, as far as altcoins are concerned, as far as this technology is concerned. So it just seems a little bit weird to me. Let me know in the comments what you think. 94,113. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the daily. And we talked about this in the last video. We've got the death cross. So for this to be invalidated, Bitcoin needs to do one thing. It needs to start regaining these levels, start pushing through all the way up, and then take back the moving averages. Once it takes back the moving averages, that'll create a reversal, and that'll create a golden cross from a death cross. Happens time and time again. We can look at examples in the past here. You've got the death cross, which turned into a golden cross here. So there's the death cross, there's the golden cross, and that's what we're looking for. And for that to happen, price action, like I say, needs to start pushing back up towards the moving averages. So that's Bitcoin. What about Ethereum? Ethereum's lost support here as well. So in the short term, Ethereum needs to take back its 200 moving average, it needs to take back this support level. And this support level is sitting at resistance level, 3,429. That would show strength for Ethereum in the short term, 3,429, holding this level. And that would confirm one thing, that this death cross, which is impending, would be invalidated. It's going to be invalidated if price starts pushing above it. If price stays below for a period of time, this is going to start moving down the faster paced 50 moving average and create a death cross. We've seen death crosses on many altcoins. We'll have a look at that very shortly. So Ethereum against Bitcoin, we look at this as a measurement to find out whether the second biggest asset within the crypto market is outperforming the biggest asset within the crypto market at any given time, which shows confidence that people are going down the risk curve slightly into Ethereum. You can see Ethereum is trying to break out of this range. This would be positive if Ethereum breaks out of this range and takes back the 50 moving average, because that is a breakout, that is flipping bullish, and there's a high probability that you're going to at least test 0.04327, and there's a probability that you're going to get an extension. We talked about that, guys, on the channel. We said getting Ethereum at this level and then selling the Ethereum and buying Bitcoin at this level is going to be a positive thing. So it is going to get you a half price Bitcoin, basically. So the dominance, the next thing we look at is the dominance, and you can see that the dominance is starting to get a little bit weaker as people have got no confidence in the market. You look at the crypto fear and greed index, we are in extreme fear. Nobody's got a confidence in the market. Everybody's fearful, but Bitcoin dominance has been dropping. So that's indicating that Bitcoin is not outperforming altcoins collectively, and that's indicating something potentially could be changing. Everybody's fearful. The markets have been dumped. We are at extreme fear as far as the crypto fear and greed index are concerned. We can look at the indicators on Bitcoin and you can see we're massively oversold. Massively oversold. You look at Ethereum, we're massively oversold. So what I'm saying is everybody's scared. Ethereum against Bitcoin's breaking out. Dominance is dropping. There's signs here, guys, that something potentially is happening. For me, there's signs that something's happening. Right, okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the total three. And this is the thing that we need to do because we're going to get a death cross very soon. If price action doesn't start breaking, the 61.8% retracement and the 200 daily moving average, we're due a catalyst, guys. We haven't had a catalyst in 2025. All it's been is interest rates, tariff, interest rates, tariff. We need a catalyst. And when we get a catalyst, that's going to show confidence. The best catalyst that we could possibly get is some form of stimulus going into the economy or a promise of stimulus going into the economy. Markets are forward looking. If you're promising that the money's going into the economy, if you're promising there's going to be contracts put in as far as infrastructure is concerned, as far as military contracts are concerned, as far as renewable energy is concerned, whatever, guys, if there's going to be stimulus going into the economy for any given reason, that's going to create a positive impact on the markets. That will allow people to go further down the risk curve because people will have more liquidity and they'll have confidence in the markets at that time. So we want the total three to break out. We've got resistance at 969 billion. That's the 61.8% retracement. That's the 200 daily moving average. And this, the S&P 500, this is concerning. And I said this was an ascending channel. An ascending channel is a bearish move. We've just dropped from the ascending channel. And for this to flip bullish, we need to take back on the S&P 6,720.37. And then for us to put new highs in on the S&P once again. Then we look at the USDT dominance. You can see that this thing's been rallying. When people are scared within the crypto market, they go into USDT. That's exactly what people have been doing. We can see that because USDT dominance has been pushing up as total three has been pushing down. So people are holding stable coins right now. People are fearful right now. They're holding stable coins. So the DXY got a rejection level here. We've got the 200 moving average. If we get a rejection from this is going to be strong. Push to the downside. And finally, we're going to look at the Russell 2000. You can see the Russell 2000's had a rejection. It has lost its 50-period moving average to 450. That's the area we need to take back in the short term. Right, okay, let's have a look at the altcoins next. And we're going to start with Pepe coin. And you can see Pepe is 0. A load of zeros, 479. And what we can do is just bring up the indicators and have a look. Have we got any kind of divergence? We'll bring up the RSI. We've got a bit of a divergence here, if you can see. We've got a higher low. We've got a higher low. And then when you're looking at Pepe, as far as price is concerned, we're grinding down, grinding down, grinding down. So resistance in the short term, you can see we've got our two moving averages. But what I want to do is just zoom out and stick our Fibonacci friend on from its swing high all the way to the capitulation low. And you can see one thing. This 38.2, that is a magnet as far as price is concerned. You can see that that's been rejected. as resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, and that held as support here. So it's a magnet to price, and that's going to be the next resistance barrier. But one thing that I do want to bring up is the 236. It's not a Fibonacci number I use very often, but the 236, when you're looking for reversals, is always a good thing. If you break the 236 on a reversal and that holds it as support, you tend to get a big swing to the upside. So 236 is sat at on Pepe. Going to miss all the zeros, 896 at the end. So you've got a bullish divergence. You need to take back the 50 moving average. You need to take back the 236. And you can see that that was a shelf here. Get back into that shelf. That's going to be the thing in the short term that we need to do on Pepe coin. So I'm not going to give any kind of projections because we have got this big resistance barrier at the 382 that we do need to deal with. And we have got the big 2 moving averages. When you're underneath the moving averages, it's more difficult to start breaking through the ceilings. So Dogecoin next, and you can see Dogecoin exactly the same, 382. That acted as a price magnet there, support. You could see nearly resistance at this point. So that's 30 cents, just over 30 cents. That's 38.2. And we know that 30 cents is obviously a round number. So when you've got key psychological round numbers, around about 31 cents, when you've got key psychological round numbers, that's where you tend to get a rejection. And that's exactly what happened here, 30 cents. So we'll do it again. We'll bring up the 236 because remember, we're looking for 236 to give us the first confirmation of any kind of reversal. The 236, does that act as a magnet to price? Of course it does. Of course it does. 21 cents. So we need to take back 21 cents. You can see that we've had a death cross. 50's moved underneath the 200. That needs to reverse in the short term. For that to reverse, price action needs to be above the moving averages, and we need to take back 21 cents on Dogecoin. Pith, looking for a breakout on this. You can see we've got a diagonal on here. Now, I'm more of a horizontal guy. Horizontal carries more structure, it carries more weight because why? Because it's a consistency. A diagonal is not a consistency. And what do I mean by that? You've got 88 cents here. This is one trend line. You've got down here, you've got 56 cents. You've got down here 20 cents. You've got down here 11, 10 cents. That's not a consistency. Whereas when you've got a shelf here, that's a consistency. When you've got a consistency, that creates buy orders and sell orders at that level. When you've got a diagonal, people are putting buy orders and sell orders at different levels. So you're collectively not having a big pile of money at the same amount, which creates that structure resistance or structure support, depending on whether the price is above or below. You can see here, this is a prime example. This is the horizontal support all the way down here. And then what happens? You lose it, resistance. What happens? Resistance. So we know that that's going to be the resistance level in the short term, but this thing is trying to break out. This trend line is actually acting as a magnet to price. You can see it's just hovering around, trying to break out, fake out there, comes back in, tries to break out, fake out there. So we need a real breakout here. We need to take back the 50, take back the 200, reverse the death cross, turn that into a golden cross, hold price above, and then all the way to 25 cents, which is going to be the big resistance barrier in the short term that we do need to overcome. Once we do that, that brings back that shelf, which is currently a ceiling. So we've got VE chain next. VE chain's at a strong support at the moment. You can see it's currently trading at 0.01441. So the shelf in the short term that we do need to take back on here, that's sitting at 0.02169. So you've got the 50, we're losing the 50. Ideally, this is what we want, guys. Ideally, we want to push. We're probably going to get a rejection, a pullback, high or low at this structure here, and then a push above the 50. Then you've got this 0.02169. Once you're above there, we can start talking projections rather than rejection levels. XRP next, you've got XRP. The 786 is its big support zone at the moment. You can see it's bulking between the two. It's bulking between the two here. So you've got support at $2, and then you've got resistance, which is the 61.8% at $2.38 on XRP. Ultimately, we want to break a trend. Once we break trend, it means we break the 50, we break the 200, and then we're looking for an extension. I'm not giving you extensions at the moment, guys. I'm not looking at extensions at the moment. This is survival mode. Everyone's in extreme fear at the moment. The market is undecided. So Cardano, we've been looking at this so much. We're coming back to the biggest area of traded volume on Cardano, and that's sitting at 40 cents. So if we bring up the indicators, can we see we are oversold, and we're looking for a push to the upside. So we're looking to hold this level. We're looking for a push to the upside. And again, we need to take back the moving averages. So that's looking weak on Cardano, but we've got this base here, which is a magnet to price when we look left, magnet to price, and the biggest area of traded volume on Cardano. So that's something to monitor over the next couple of days. Last one, ZCash. Every single target has got hit. Every single target has got hit. And now we're pulling back. I'm not interested in this one, guys. I'm not interested in this one. So I'm looking for some form of pullback, a healthy pullback on Zcash. Does it mean it can't go higher? Anything can happen. However, where do you put your stop loss on this? Where do you protect yourself on this? What happens if you get a 60% pullback? It's a difficult one to play, guys. Earlier on when we were talking about it on the channel down here, that's when it was good. That's when you got your golden cross. That's when you got your big extension. Now it's too late for me. So, right, okay, if you did enjoy this, guys, let me know in the comments. Also, we've got school. We've got some of the biggest influencers, some of the biggest traders within this school. It is absolutely jam-packed with content. This is where you can accelerate your journey. It is $99 a month. Link in my description. Guys, I'll see you in the next one.